everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Weekly Pulse. It's me, Dan, here in the basement of Forbidden Planet. Whole bunch of new comics this week. We're going to jump right in with three different titles in that Night of the Owl series. So the cool thing about what Scott Snyder did is that he created an event wherein all of the writers for all the other books could kind of do whatever they wanted. It was just a matter of their character or characters going up against the whatever that Talon person is that they have to go up against. So let's see who did what. So Gail Simone with Batgirl, number 9. She had... Man, listen, I like Batgirl and everything. And this is pretty good, but it's a little on the nose that Batgirl will go up against, like, a lady Talon. Like, hey, we both have lady parts, let's have a fight about it. I mean, it's good, the art's good. The actual story of the girl kind of makes up for it. I don't want to spoil it for you. It's interesting. But I feel like it's a little silly that Batgirl is a girl, so she'd fight a Talon that's a girl. But, again, the character is actually interesting. But on the other side, we've got Batman and Robin. And, Robin going up against a Talon. It's basically like, this is lather, rinse, repeat. It's whoever the character is goes up against some kind of Talon that seems very well fit towards going up against him. And this issue, again, is very solid. It gets into the lore, the past history of the Talon a little more, and the actual Order of Owls. And then, more importantly than anything else, is Batman number 9. And this whole thing started in Batman number 8. So this takes us to Batman like real low and then Batman real high, all in one issue. And it's I love him in this giant suit of armor that he's fighting in at first, and sort of using the story of who originally inhabited the Wayne Manor and the story of how there were all these bats and how they got rid of the bats. It's just a really solid story. There's some nice little surprises like, don't look there. There's a dinosaur foot. That happens. You didn't see that. It's great. It's good. I'm really curious to see what there's a few more stories left to go. Catwoman story, I think there's a Birds of Prey story that I'm interested in. But they've all been at least good. The base level is good. This was great. And speaking of great, if you have not had a chance to catch up on everything, the hardcover edition of the first 7 issues of the Scott Snyder run New 52 Batman just came out. It's $24.99, I would say. Highly, highly worth it. If you have not, if for some reason you were like, nah, I'm not going to read Batman. I heard it's one of the best books of the New 52, but I'm just not going to bother. This is a time to turn it around. That mistake you made, you could set it right, right here with this book. One other thing that I read from DC this week, to wrap up DC, is Frankenstein, Agent of S.H.A.D.E. I think this might be the last issue for Jeff Lemire. Don't quote me on that, but I think so. And he's decided to bring in an Animal Man story. It says it right there in the front. Rise of the Rot. Frankenstein versus the Rot. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Because he's not really alive or dead. So how would the Rot deal with him, and how would he deal with the Rot? And that, in essence, is what's at the heart of this story. And then how he deals with the idea of who am I, which is one of the things that I really like about Frankenstein as a character, is that his inhumanness and the way he questions it is very human. And so it makes him easy to identify with. So this was a solid, quick read, good issue. What else? Oh, hey, Dark Horse. They put out another issue of Alabastar Wolves, number 2. If you didn't read the first issue, here's the deal. There's some girl, she's albino, she kind of talks to crows, I guess. She had an angel at one point. Nowhere to be seen, an evil kind of angel, though. And she fights werewolves and other beasts. It's great, it's southern, it's horror. It's a Dark Horse book, through and through. If you like Dark Horse horror, that's easy to say, you'll like this one. I really dug it, and the second issue is meaty, full of all kinds of stuff. Starts at a diner, ends up in a desecrated church. If that ain't gold, I don't know what is. Couple number 1s. The first one is Higher Earth from Boom Studios. It's a buck. I pretty much always say if a book is a buck, you should probably check it out. It's about this guy and this girl. This guy shows up to this girl's Earth, which is kind of like a big junkyard, and just a bunch of dudes that show up, and they gotta fight him very suddenly, and then they get at. It's very disjointed. It moves a little too fast. It's interesting as a concept. The art's pretty good. It's a book. You might like it better than I did, but always a good shot. And you know, Sam Humphries is going to be taking over, I think, one of the Ultimates now. It's pretty good. He's interesting. I like some of the stuff that he does. And then finally, from me, I got Mind the Gap, #1 that came out, which I really liked. I think that the art is a little painterly, which I'm not always in love with, but it's beautiful. It's a little static for me, but I really like this concept of this whole family getting a call that the daughter in the family has been injured. And something happened. There's a mystery. She was attacked, but we don't know how or why. And now she is kind of a spirit in this sort of comatose world of other people who are in comas. And she's trying to struggle how to speak, how to function in that world. She doesn't remember who she is. She doesn't remember how she got there. So we're kind of balancing between, and also she's the B-girl from a Blind Melon video, very briefly, which is great. But it's this balance between what's happening in the real world and her family and her boyfriend, and what is happening in this coma world. It's just really interesting, and it's huge. It's one of those big, thick issues. Like, Image keeps thinking, like, hey, let's make an issue double size and still charge $2.99. Sounds good to me, Image. So this was really good, and I would highly recommend that you pick it up. Oh, hey! What? This
isn't the A-Train. What the?
Man, not at all. It's the Basement of Forbidden Planet. Did you get lost on?
I must have. I was trying to make my way down to...
hey, this is my friend Oz. Oz, say hi to the kids at home.
Hey, kids at home.
Hey, what do you got there, man?
Hey, I was just reading Mystery in Space.
So why don't you tell me about it? That's a Vertigo book, huh?
Yeah, Vertigo book #1. It's cool. What it is, it's a compilation of a bunch of different stories, which either takes place in space or takes place on another world. Very otherworldly type of book. Like I said, it's a compilation, and what happens with compilations sometimes, you get art that's very hit or very miss sometimes as you go through the book. Also, the stories become very hit or miss as well. So, I mean, it's a competent read. You get to pretty much go through the book and see which stories you kind of gravitate toward and which ones you don't. One of the stories that kind of grabbed me and I think worked well as one of the compilations was a story called Sleep to See You. And not to give too much away, but it's a story of stewardess pretty much on a spaceship that go way to the other sides of the galaxy, and to keep them alive and keep them young, they put them in status sleep. So what happens when you have someone that you love that comes in and out of this status, and you don't, because when they go to status, they don't age. So you go to sleep, and your loved one doesn't go to sleep. What happens, that dynamic type of thing. So I thought that kind of capped it kind of well, as far as that one goes.
I love that kind of concept too. Actually, there's a great story by our cameraman Morgan Pielli in his latest Indestructible Universe Quarterly that I really enjoyed, that deals with a very similar principle. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, kids at home and you, right, sir,
kids at home,
yes, so that's definitely worth picking up. But hey, you weren't actually just walking around for no particular reason.
No, I wasn't looking for the A-Train. I wasn't looking
No. We were going to talk about these T-shirts. You're representing the folks from Noku.
Yes.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about how you got involved and how that idea got started and what it is? What is it, first of all?
Great question. Noku could best be summed up, I guess, in a couple of different ways. When the artist Lee Hamilton, who's the artist and the designer of these T-shirts, came up with the idea, it was a thing where he designed it, and people were asking, what is it? What is this? What is it? Not in a bad way, more of a, I need to find out more of what this thing is. So, as he explained to me, it was a case where, okay, well, Noku is a character, and like, okay, explain that to me. And what it is, Noku is an alien. And he's from the planet of Apparellax, and on that world, that race is, bred to survey different galaxies and go to those different galaxies and planets and use their powers, so to speak, to meld different cultures together and supply them with goods that they would need on that world. So Noku is assigned to Earth, and what Noku has discovered is that people are very much into individuality and their style, so he suggested that, okay, listen, maybe I'll put these things together and have the people of this world wear these things and help them to inspire what they are. Now, that's just the overall story of how he came up with it. The actual Noku, the design, is something that he wanted to keep classic and keep very much ageless. So when you see it now in 2012 and you see it now in 2020, you can still say, hey, that's pretty cool. So he tried to infuse it with the music, indistinguishable face, so when you see it, you kind of see yourself in it. And also, when you talk about Noku, you think about, okay, what does Noku mean? And when I saw it, I told Lee, I was like, hey, listen, this thing, people are asking about it, and they're saying, I like it, I think I want to try something, or, this is cool, but I would have done this. And what this guy is representing, his face, when you see it, it's causing you to do something, whether it's inspiring you to try something different, it's inspiring you to say, hey, I want to know what it is. So that Noku inspiring people kind of came the mantra of what Noku Apparellax is, and when we say Noku is inspiration. So, and it's a case where, okay, listen, we have this guy that when you see him, you want to do something with it, so we want to just keep that going. And when he's doing his designs, he's making sure that he represents Noku.
I really like this one a lot.
Thank you very much. He tries to represent him in every which way possible, so people can see this guy and get inspired or feel something about the character.
Yeah, no, I really dig it. And you guys have been doing something online through YouTube, like you're doing a comic, but instead of it being just a completely static panel to panel, you're using YouTube and a little bit of music.
Yeah, it's funny because Lee had that idea of, okay, listen, if we wanted to, make a comic, how could we do it? And I was like, well, listen, everybody likes the whole animated thing going. He's like, well, listen, I'm not an animator. And he's like, well, I used to actually color comic books back in the 90s and for Image. And he was like, listen, you know how to color, I can draw a little bit. Maybe we can draw it, shoot it, make it like a slideshow, almost like an interactive type of motion comic. I said, you know what? I haven't seen that yet. Let's try that.
Yeah.
And we were able to put a couple episodes up on YouTube already, get some decent traffic on it, and it's just another extension of showing Noku. And the comics just show a little backstory of Noku before he came to Earth, and showing him in his academy, the Outer World Explorer program, the OWEP, as it were. Him and his friends just trying to make it through the academy in one piece and become Outer World Explorers.
What's the website? So they know?
The website is www.iamnoku.com, and that's Noku.
All right, so you'll see that down in the notes below. I like the design because, like you said, it's very clean and simple, but stylized in such a way. I mean, Scott McCloud would say that it's iconic in that way, that people can see themselves in it. Yes. And immediately identify with that character. I think that's what works really best. So we have 2 immediately for sale. We're gonna have another 2 for sale by the end of the week, so keep an eye out. They're all really cool. You also get a poster.
Yes, you got a poster, the Noku poster. So when you come to Forbidden Planet, the 4 designs that you will see, well, the 2 that are here now, the other 2 that will be here, come with a poster, which I'll give it to you and you can show.
Yeah.
And it comes with a cool sticker. And you can only find those 4 designs here at Forbidden Planet, nowhere else, exclusively here.
Exclusive.
And speaking of exclusives, Lee wanted me to make sure you got this, something that is not here, super duper exclusive.
Look at this. This is just for me, baby.
And what's cool about this, all the shirts he tries to make personable, so he names all of them. And this one is called New Mood Part 2. And if you go to Forbidden Planet site and look up New Mood, you'd see New Mood Part 1. So this is actually like a remix of the original shirt.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, I really like this one. All right. Well, sir.
Awesome.
Thank you for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
And remember, kids at home, all the comics that we mentioned, along with everything that came out this week, you can buy at fpnyc.com. And also remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our videos. Thanks for watching, and keep reading. Bye, everybody. Bye.